Hey, what's going on, guys? This is my part 2 video of complex numbers. In my previous video I have shown you guys numbers like when we have 9, square root of 9, square root of negative 9. Like when we have squareable numbers, we have seen how to convert them into complex number, how to convert them. Now here we are going to see a little bit more complex, difficult one. Now let's go and see that one. Okay, let's say we have square root of negative 18. This is not a squareable number, like we cannot just square root directly. So in order to do these kind of things, we have to know these things. 1, 4, this is square, like 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16, and 5 square is 25, and then 6 square is 36, and then 7 square is 49. Now we have to see what is the largest number that is close to this, close to multiplication of a number that will give this number. Now if you see, we can multiply 1 by negative 18 and get negative 18, but this is not the largest number. For we can actually we cannot do that. 9, we can multiply 9 by 2 and get 18, and 16 we cannot multiply by anything and get it. So 9 is the largest number. That's when we multiply with another number gives 18. So we have to choose that one. If we choose this one, what we get, we will get 9, and then we have to multiply by 2, and also don't forget the negative 1. Okay, square root of 9 is 3, and square root of 2 is square root of 2, because we cannot square root 2. And the square root of negative 1, as we seen before, that is equal to I. Okay, so we get 3 square root 2 I. That's the answer for this question. Now let's look at another one. Let's say, okay, let's say we have negative 80, square root of negative 80. Now we have to see which is the largest number that which is the largest number that multiplication gives 80. 9 by, if we multiply 9 times 20, we will get 80. So but if you see 16 by 5 also 80. So 16 is the largest number here, and 25, that is too big, like we cannot multiply anything. After that we don't have anything. So 16 is the largest number that multiplication of another number gives 80. So what we have to do is we just take 16 by 5 and then a negative 1. So we will get 4 square root of 5, and the square root of negative 1 is I. Now let's look at another one. Let's say we have square root of negative square root of negative 50. What we can do about this? Negative remains the same. Now what's the largest number? 25 is the largest number. Multiplication gives 50. 25 times 2 is 50. So 25, 2, and don't forget the negative 1. So negative 5 square root of 2 and then I. Okay, in that way we will get 50. And then 72 minus square root of negative 72. Now let's do this. Minus, and then 36 times 2 is negative 2. So we can take 36 and then 2, and also we have negative 1. So we will get minus 6 square root of 2 and then negative I. So that's all about these things. Like you can see how we can simplify this complex, like we cannot, the numbers we cannot square root, and we can simplify in terms of multiplication of another numbers, and we can do like this. Now let's look at a different problem right now. Now we have seen all these kind of things. Now let's say we have something like this. Let's say we have a question that's asking what's the I power of 201. Okay, what's the I power of 201? How can we find it? In order to do this one, first of all you have to know the simple things. Let's say we have I. Okay, my mouse got stuck. I had to wait a little bit. Okay. Waiting for a little bit. Let's see, I fix the problem. Okay, so I'm gonna stop it right now because I had to fix this issue. So until this we have seen about complex numbers, and I'm gonna make a part 3 video. Actually it's back in a weird way. I stop it, erase everything and continue. Okay, when they ask I power 2 or 1, how to do that? First of all, in order to do this, we had to know a simple thing. Let's say I, and we know that I is equal to square root of negative 1. So what is I square? I square is basically square root of negative 1 square, and we know that if you square root if you square a square root and square cancels, we will get negative 1. Now let's say we have I cube. What is that? I cube is basically minus 1, that is I square times I, right? Because I square we already know that is square root of negative 1 square, that is negative 1, and I, that gives us I cube. Let's say I power 4. I power 4 is basically negative 1, or let's write in a simple term so you can understand as well. So I can write this one as I square times I square, and we know that I square is negative 1 times negative 1, we will get positive 1. So I power 4, we will get positive 1. So whenever we are dealing with I power anything, we have these 4 situations. And the numbers above this, we can use these things to solve this. Now let's look at the numbers above I power 4. Let's say we have I power 6, and if you see I power 6, we can write it as I power 4, I power 2, and I power 4 is positive 1 as we seen before, and I square is negative 1. Okay, negative 1. 1 times negative 1, that is negative 1. I square we seen here, that is negative 1, and I power 4 is positive 1. Okay, so whenever you see a number above 4, you have to always see how can we make this one simplified as I power 4 and multiplication. Now let's look at another one, I power 8. I power 8 is basically I power 4 times I power 4. I power 4 is 1. 1 times 1, that's simply 1, right? And let's say we have I power 12. I power 12, how can we make it to I power 4 things? I power 12 is basically I power 4. We can power it as 3 because I power 4 power 3 is I power 12. So I power 4 is 1. 1 cube is 12. 1 cube is 1. Okay. So you can see I always try to simplify this one in terms of 4 because we know that I power 4 is a positive 1. If we get into that place, we can make it easy. Now let's look at another number. Let's say we have I power 15. I power 15. Now let's see what's the closest number that is for multiplication for this. I power 12 times I power 3. I power 12, and I power 12 we can write it as I power 4 power 3, and this one is I cube basically. So I power 4 is 1 cube here, and I power 3, we have I power 3, 1 cube is 1, and I power 3 as we seen before, it's negative I. Negative I times 1, that is just negative I. Okay, like that we can do. If you don't know how to get the closest number to 4 multiplication, I'm going to show that. Let's look at another example for that. Okay, I erase all these things first. Okay, I'm going to erase all these things first. Sorry. I'm gonna do again. Computer's acting weird. Maybe I just have to simply erase using eraser. That's weird. That's too much. Okay, now it's working. Okay, now let's look at another example. Let's look at a number like this. Let's say we have a number that is I power 29. Now, you know, some simple things you can see. I power 12 is a 4 multiplication close to 15. So we took 12, 3. But 29, what are we going to do? I can see it I 28 times I. Okay, I'm seeing it because I have done already. And I power 4 times 7 is 28. So 4 power 7 I, and 1 power 7, 1 power anything is 1, and I remains here. So 1 times I, we are just going to get I. Now if you cannot see what's the closest 4 multiplication, what you have to do is just divide 29 by 4. When you divide that, you will get 7.25. When you get 7.25, take the whole number first, multiply by 4, you will get 28. That's our first number. And then take the 0.25, this multiplication, okay, 0.25 and multiply by 4, you get 1. Like that you will get like this. Okay, so you can, if you have a big number, you have like problem like figuring out what's the closest multiplication of 4, we can separate it into. If you don't know, you can do this method to find it out. Now let's look at another example. Let's say we have I power 62, and 4 multiplication close to 62 is 60, and then other one is 2. 60, what power, like 4 multiplied by what gives us 60? 4 multiplied by 15 gives us 60. I power 2, and we know that I power 4 is 1, 1 power anything is 1, 1 power 15, and we have I square. I square is basically -1, and 1 times -1 is basically -1. That's the answer for this one. Now again, now let's go to our main problem. We started with I power 2 over 1. That's how we started, right? We want to figure out what is this. So now we have all the information. We can find out 2 over 1. I 2 over 1. Now first we have to figure out what closest number we have near to 201, that is 4 multiplication. To do that, just simply divide. I get rid of this one to do that. Okay, I get rid of this part so we can see it here. Now simply divide 2 over 1 by 4. What you get? You will get 50.25. Now 50 multiplied by 4, that is 200. That's going to be our first number. And then 0.25 remaining. Multiply by 4, that's 1. That's our second number. Now I power 200 is basically 50. You can see 50 times 4 is 200. So I power 4 power 50. And then we have I power 1, and we know that I power 4 is 1, 1 power anything is 1, and times I. So 1 times I, basically I. That's how we do this kind of problems. I hope you guys find this video helpful. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe my channel. See you guys on my next video.